Oh, hi, Mark. What's up, Freccero fam? I am super excited for this. For the first time ever, I'm going to play the Berimbau with Capoeira Connection.
Hey guys, I'm Cadencia, and this is...
My name is Pena.
And we are Capoeira Connection.
So the Berimbau is the primary instrument in Capoeira. We started the Capoeira Connection about 5 years ago. We have mestres in Brazil hand make all of our Berimbaus, atabaques, pandeiros, all of the instruments. All of our instruments are handmade in Brazil by Capoeira professionals. This part of the Berimbau is called the verga. And you can see like we've got the notch on the end here for the wire. And then on the other end, this is leather to keep it from splitting the wood. So generally, when you put the cabasa on the Berimbau, you don't want it to be much more than a palm's length. So it's all about like, how do you get the right tension? So ideally, you know, it would sound best kind of like here. The difficult thing isn't really playing the Berimbau, it's actually learning how to hold it. And the different sizes of cabasas is kind of what makes it harder or easier to hold. So for example, like once I put this larger one on here, it's not gonna give my hand room to be closer to the stick. So there's like a balance aspect to it. So the three main notes is open, so coin not touching away from your stomach, and here.
Okay.
Then the rock pressing real hard against the string and it makes a crisp. And then the rock barely pressing and it makes a... Yeah, and so the back end of the stick, you want to let it move like this, like you don't want it stiff.
Like this?
Yep. And so a good practice to do is something like this. Check this out. Let's just go from open to sharp. So you go... Okay, now let's try to do this. So in between each one, you're gonna do a shake. So
okay.
Okay. So just even navigating this part.
Yeah, I can
wrist,
see what you mean, yeah.
because this one fits a little more like in the palm of my hand.
Right. Huge shout out to Capoeira Connection. That was amazing learning and playing the Berimbau. That is something I've always wanted to do. I'm not exaggerating. One of my biggest bucket list things, period. I've always loved the sound of it. I've made a bunch of music with the Berimbau. In addition, I also just released a 10-track Brazilian album. I have the album listed below in the description, and of course, a link to Capoeira Connection as well. Because as they mentioned, they're one of the few places in the entire country, and I did a bunch of research that sells authentic Berimbaus from Brazil. And I'm not gonna lie, it was pretty tricky to play it, but in a way I didn't expect. You know, one thing he said right in the beginning is it's not hard playing it per se, as more it is actually holding it, which is true. My left hand was killing me, even after like 5 minutes, because you have to put like your pinky under the string, and then if your hand's gonna be here, and you have a coin right here to kind of create different notes, so to speak. And after a while of holding it like this, it just became so tiring. It's a very odd object to hold. That's the best way I can word it. So when holding it, I remember being like, all right, I feel like playing it isn't too bad compared to like a piano or saxophone or another instrument. It's more the fact of holding it and being able to position it in the right way. And especially there were certain times where you play it like this, and then you place it against your chest and play it like this. So you have to go kind of back and forth. So not only do you have to hold it, but you have to hold it and have the ability to have some movement sometimes, right? If I want to go like this with it, or like say if I'm walking around when doing capoeira or whatever. But what's awesome is I'm planning on buying one, because one of my biggest goals when it comes to my music, I use the Berimbau in so many of my records, but I always use samples, which means I have recordings of other people playing it and using it in my songs. But it'd be really cool to kind of record my own loops, samples, melodies, etc., etc. Another thing that I thought was really interesting, and of course, everybody is a bit different, is they told me the smaller one is the easiest to hold, as you can imagine, because it's smaller, and you can kind of get used to it. The bigger one is harder to hold. For me personally, for whatever reason, I actually thought it was the opposite. I thought the bigger one, for whatever reason, I thought it was a bit easier to hold. Maybe, I don't know, it was definitely heavier for sure, but there's something about it that to me just made it was a bit more intuitive when holding it, is the only way I can word it. The smaller one I actually thought was harder. But I guess for most people, the smaller one is easier. Again, though, huge shout out to Capoeira Connection. I've been wanting to do that for years, huge thing on my bucket list, and now I can officially say that I've played the Berimbau.